just did a video about this, but I figured I'd do a live stream, probably covering the exact same thing because why not? We're here. Let's do it. So I'm talking about a 2-5-1 progression in G major. So what is a 2-5-1, you may ask? So if you just learn the major scale, which I'll play for you. So in G major, 3rd fret of the E string is G, 5th fret is A, 2nd fret of the A string is B, 3rd fret C, 5th fret is D of the A string, and on the D string we have 2, 4, 5, and that's E, F sharp, G. So G, A, B, C, D, E, E, F sharp, G. So, and I always said if you know the alphabet to G and you can count to 4, you can probably learn music. So, that being said, let's get into it. Like I said, this live stream is about a 2-5-1 progression in the key of G and how you can approach walking bass lines. So the first thing to know about walking bass lines is play on the quarter notes. Second most important thing is knowing what the chords are. So in this case, we have an A minor chord, a D7 chord, and a G chord. So A minor, D dominant 7, and G. G major 7, potato, potato. So it starts off with wanting to know the root. And so the other helpful thing is your octave shape, which goes across 2 strings, 5th fret of the E string, 7th fret of the D string. So that's your octave shape. And that's across the board. And the same thing for the A string and the G string. So it's the same note, but in a different octave, right? Capiche? So the next thing would be to learn where your roots are, and your root, your 5th, and your octave. So these are both roots. So our roots in 2 octaves and the 5th of the chord between them. So you can have, there's your root, and your 4th below is also the 5th of the chord. And then our 5 chord. And I say a 2-5-1, meaning going back to our major scale. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 being the A. So there's a chord attached to each scale degree, right? You have your 1 chord, your 2 chord, 3 chord, 5 chord. I'm sorry, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6, 7's diminished, and then you're back to your octave, you're back to 1. So I always say, like, even say a complex chord like G major 7 sharp 11. I like using that example because it sounds like a lot. But it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm just playing this up an octave, right? So there's your 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And to make the chord, you need a root, a 3, and a 5. We're going to skip the 5 for now. And then there's your major 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you sharp it. So major 7 sharp 11 would look like this. It's a pretty crunchy chord, but there's your major 7 sharp 11 voicing. All right, going back to our 2-5-1 now. Oop. I don't know what my phone's doing, but all right. So 2-5-1. So, and when you first start out walking bass lines, your root, your 5th, and your octave are going to be your help. That's going to keep you going throughout the whole thing. So, and you can just double up the root. You don't have to play super complicated lines. The band will be happy if you are just keeping it simple. So I always say root, 5th, root, 5th, root, 5th, root, 5th. So bouncing off the 5th and your root. Or you can mix in the octave. So two beats of 1 bar of A minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then the next thing would be your arpeggios. So an A minor arpeggio would be your root, your 3rd, and your 5th. And you could go this way. It's just more of a stretch. So, or you could go that way. You can do the 5th fret E string, 3rd fret A string, 2nd fret D string. But I think the most economical way on the electric bass is this shape here for a minor arpeggio. So you have your arpeggio. So when I first started walking bass lines, my bass lines were basically. The next shape to know would be your major arpeggio. So that's basically, it looks like this. So this would be your D7. 5th fret of the A string, 4th fret of the D string, 7th fret of the D string. Now we can't include the octave in that, where we go, and you can do your arpeggio descending. The next step is connecting your arpeggios with passing tones. So it starts with roots and fifths. And then connecting your arpeggios with passing tones. So what that looks like is, right? Or you could go, so I played 2 roots, and then I went from C to C sharp to D to lead us to the D chord. But you can approach it 2 different ways. You can approach it more. So, and then for the D chord, we could go, there's your arpeggio, and then the passing tone between on beat 4 would be an A flat. So it would look like this. And then after arpeggios with passing tones, you could do scale lines with passing tones. So you would be something more or less like this, or one of the examples could be this, would be. So that would be A chord, D7, G. And now on the G chord, you could just do the arpeggio down. I mean, there's a million ways you can walk a bass line. So we could double the root, or we can walk a scale. So you can start to mix up whether you're doing scales with passing tones or arpeggios with passing tones, and that'll make more of an interesting bass line. But the 3 takeaways from this are roots and fifths. So your roots and fifths of the chord, in either inversion, which means your root and your 4th below. So this would be like A minor. You have these 2 notes available. And then for the D7, you have these 2 notes. So you can do a 5th below, a 4th below, or a 5th above for your D chord, right? And same thing with your root. There's your G. So you mixing it up would be something like this. And now I'm just walking a diatonic scale. Never, ever, ever learn to play bass like this. Cool. One that I like to do is connecting the chords like this, was chromatically. So it'd be A minor, D7, G, G, A minor, and then D7. And now I'm mixing it. Right, and there's your passing tone between. So root fifths, root fifth octave, root fifth octave. The next step, arpeggios. The next step, arpeggios with passing tones. The next step is combining all three options. So you can start to walk your way up the neck and get around the bass a little easier. Hopefully this is somewhat helpful. A 2, 5, 1 in the key of G. Know your major scale. The second thing would be, knowing different modes of the major scale, which is basically starting the major scale on different notes. So you can say, for instance, in the key of G, you can do the second mode, which is Dorian mode, and it's just basically a G scale from an A to an A. And then the fifth mode, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth mode of the major scale is Mixolydian. Probably the most useful modes would be Dorian, Mixolydian, and then of course major and minor. Minor being a mode of the major scale. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to talk about. So, hope everyone has a wonderful day. Play bass. Enjoy life. You only live once, so at least as far as we know.